Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. Each day I've selected a different composer, some living, some in the past, and today it's Edward Elgar, born in 1857, died in 1934. English composer extraordinaire, certainly a man that everyone has heard of, but perhaps not aware of the variety of what he proposed to write. The piece that he is most well known for, of course, is his Pomp and Circumstance March. And you may not know that there are 5 Pomp and Circumstance marches. The most famous one has the middle section. When he composed that, I love this quote. He told his wife, "I've written a tune that'll knock 'em flat." And it did. People to this day, it is, of course, is sort of the unofficial national anthem in England. He wrote symphonies, he wrote piano works, he wrote a violin concerto, and then he wrote a cello concerto. I was fortunate enough when I was in Minnesota Orchestra that at that time Jacqueline Dupre came to play, and she played the Elgar, she played the Elgar cello concerto, a stunning, wonderful work. He, of course, did a lot of choral music. One of his early pieces, written in 1896, was called Light of the World, and that kind of Elgarian sound you can hear. Here is the beginning of that piece. The Light of the World by Elgar. The other piece that actually gave him the most fame and started his whole trajectory of being well known in music was the Enigma variations. And out of those, of course, they were composed for orchestra, but eventually there was a version for piano solo, there for string quartet, all kinds of different ways. And probably the most famous variation in the Enigma is the Nimrod, which I'm sure you know, which begins. Sublime, beautiful music. The piece of Elgar that Vocal Essence has performed several times, we did it in 1976 and again in 1990, is a grand oratorio that he composed in 1900 called The Dream of Garantius. Now you need to know that Elgar didn't have the easiest life in terms of being accepted because in Protestant England, he was Catholic. So people weren't sure about this man and whether his influences should be tolerated. And of course, then he had written Garantius to a text by a Catholic. And at the premiere, in fact, it was not permitted in several English cities because it was Catholic. But eventually, it has now become one of the great pieces. When Vocal Essence performed it in 1976, it was the first time it had ever been performed with orchestra in the Twin Cities. And people were like, where has this music been? But it's been there. And I've done it again, as I mentioned, in 1990. And today I've asked Clara Osowski to join me because there is a part of the end of this work that is so sublimely beautiful. And yes, I can play it on the piano, but it's better to hear Clara sing this wonderful song at the end when the angel comes and sings, "Softly and gently, dearly ransomed soul, in my most loving arms, I now enfold thee." The closing section, The Dream of Garantius, with Clara Osowski.
Yes.
Music of Edward Elgar. Have a wonderful day.